Now I'm going to show you some interesting images. I'm going to do my, well, I consider them interesting. I hope you do. And I'm going to show you, first I'm going to show you the camera. Now, all the folks last week had just beautiful imagery. I ordered one of these. I found a company, and the guys who make this actually going to be in another couple of weeks. We're going to have them as guests, and they'll explain all this fancy stuff to you. But this is a Canon ELPH. They've basically done some stuff inside to make them sensitive and infrared, and they put a special filter on it, which allows you, there we go. Actually, and it has a ring now on it. The camera normally doesn't come with this stuff, so they replaced all here, and they've branded it basically. This is a Canon ELPH. You would see the name here, but they put this little piece on to, so that you, and actually it's very helpful. Canon should take a cue from that, because it really helps you hold the camera. It's like a cell phone. They make them like slippery as eels so they can sell you another one. And I'm sure it's the same story with this, but here you can grab on it, and it's very nice. And I'm going to show you some pictures I took in a minute, if nothing fails. Oh, by the way, my camera's been giving me trouble today, so if you lose me, I know it'll break your heart. You'll still hear me. I'll be like the ethereal body speaking from the disembodied body there. So I'm going to do my best. If I disappear, that's why. It's not like anything personal, but that might be it. So stand by. Now you can put your fancy anaglyph glasses on, and you don't need to see me. So I think I'm going to kill my camera. This is a picture I took within like 10 minutes of charging the battery. I went out on my deck, and this is that satellite antenna is actually pointing to a satellite called Galaxy 14. The picture may have just as well been taken on Galaxy 14. A lot going on there, Now you see a little bit like in the V in the clouds there, stuff is happening. That's because the clouds are moving in one direction, I'm moving in another, and apparently that occurs. But I thought the picture was so loaded with chaos, I just liked it anyway. And that was taken with that little fancy camera I just showed you. As a cha-cha, I took several images and moved along. And apparently the clouds were moving too. But I kind of dig it. If you look into the clouds, you actually see within that other stuff. It's a really amazing image. And it doesn't even look bad if it's in 2D. Not on toot my own horn. Let's see if I can get you the next one up. This is another one. I just love that satellite dish. Oh, incidentally, that dish is pointing at a satellite at 22,500 miles from that piece over there. The satellite's located somewhere between California and Hawaii, just kind of sitting out there at 22,000 miles above the equator. 22,500 to be a little more accurate. Throw in another 100 because it's a steep angle, but that antenna is pointed west. So you can kind of see what you can get. The detail in the clouds, it's just a really fun process. If you want to really get into an interesting form of 3D, I think this IR stuff is really beautiful. And again, I can't compare it with what everybody showed last week, but nonetheless, this is just out of my camera. Now, this next shot is also off my deck, and it just kind of, again, a cha-cha. I moved along with the camera. I love this shot. The one thing I hate about it is I'll probably never shoot another one that's good. And it's, I'm going to be trying to get a shot like this for the rest of the time I own the camera. And it was basically luck, but listen, it's in my life I've learned better to be lucky than to be skilled at anything. It's just the way it is. But you can see the detail on the clouds, and if you really zoom in on a cloud, you can almost see electrical lines coming off of it because there's a lot of electricity associated with clouds. You can look that up too. But it is a startling imagery you can get. The two advantages you get when you do this IR stuff, if you don't use artificial color, like I was saying during my big recitation there, once you get into infrared, it's really not a color your eyes can see, so it's made up. So if you add color to it, you can, but basically you've taken the reflective energy off of everything around there and cut through the atmosphere, because that infrared tends to cut through all the dust and the dirt. And you now have something that is a fun image in black and white, can be viewed simply even without glasses. It looks kind of nice. And then it turns into anaglyphs very, very easily. So sharing it is a lot simpler too. Now, I'll get on to our other images. Hope you enjoyed that, but it's a fun thing. And we're going to have these Kolari. I think the link was put up last week, Kolari. And they got a whole bunch of cameras. And man, if you got a camera sitting around that you haven't been using, a digital camera, you can send it to these guys and they'll butcher it for you and send it back as a real good toy that you'll be running around with. So now I'm going to get onto the images. Hold on. My list here, and I'll take you to the first one. And if anybody wants to chime along with that, if anybody knows any Sousa song, I'll save you the trouble. Oh, you know what? I was going to show you the. Let me give you one quick shot of this. This is a hydrogen alpha telescope. This is the one I was talking about, where you can actually look at the sun with that. I have one of those beasties, and it's quite beautiful. And you get something like this. It's remember I was telling you about those color channels? Well, 656 nanometers is red. Is a close to the optimum red. As you move in channels, it changes the intensity of the red. Why does it change the intensity? Because your eyes don't see every light exactly the same. Actually, everybody sees it a little differently. But that's a problem for the laser projectionists in movie theaters. But that's a topic for another meeting. Let me go to this. That's kind of what you see out of the telescope. And I got to tell you, I spent 2 or 3 hours. My neighbors certainly, they've got to know me. The guy with the satellite dish and the guy who sits out with a telescope staring at the sun for 3 hours. But it really is fantastic. The other side of staring at the sun and now again, these are a special filter. I'm going to stay on topic, pal. Or ladies and gentlemen, shall we say. I'll try to stay on topic. This is one teensy little wavelength that you're looking at coming from the sun. If you were to, it's 1/100,000th of the energy coming off the sun. So it's really a small amount of energy, but that's where you're seeing the results of hydrogen explosions. If that's the kind of thing you like to do for a hobby. There you go. Now I'll get on to other fireworks, but that's the big sparkler in the sky. Our first presenter is Takashi Sekitani.
And Takashi is here. I'm hoping I can get him on. It's 4 a.m. in Japan, so we weren't assuming that he would be able to wake up early or stay up late and come with us, but I think he's here. Takashi, is your mic not working?
Hello. Good morning.
Oh, very good. Good. So now we don't have to worry about pronouncing the names of these towns correctly.
Man, wait a second. Let me put my camera back on for a minute.
Thank you so much for coming on. I know it's
no problem.
Wake up early.
Yes, 4:30 now. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, Excellent. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I'm going to shut myself back down again.
You're welcome.
And actually, we're also showing some pictures from Bob Venezia, who got inspired to shoot fireworks from seeing your slides. So we're going to see your fireworks, and then we'll see Bob Venezia's fireworks. So anyway, you can tell us about this.
Yeah, this is.
What? One second, Takashi. Nobody knows other than the fact that you're obviously drinking coffee at 4 in the morning in Japan. Let me just tell everyone a little bit about you. Let me build that up a little bit. That's Takashi.
Yes.
Tell me.
I'm drinking coffee now to keep up my eye open.
Excellent. I'll toast you with my city gin, which is what we call water here in New York.
Yep.
He's an independent stereoscopic photographer, stereoscopic movie maker who lives in Satami, Japan.
Yes.
I'm glad I got that right.
Very good. Yes.
Thank you. He has been taking stereo pictures since 1990 and 3D video since 1995. He's especially interested in hyperstereo, which you're going to see the beautiful work he does for scenic, anaglyph, and phantogram. We'll do it special on phantogram somewhere along the way if you don't know what one of those are, but they're quite beautiful. Takashi is a member of the Stereo Club of Tokyo, the NSA, and the ISU. Take it away, yes. Takashi. It's up to you now.
Good morning.
This is a beautiful. This is a beautiful image. Can you explain a little bit about it and the cameras that you used?
Yeah, I use a film camera. In this case, 2 SLR separate about 15 meters, taken from build tops, roof of the building. So yeah, this is my third or fourth. So it was
A quick question. What type of SLR cameras? What was the brand of the cameras that you
this is
gotcha?
Nikon
Oh, nice.
Nikon F70D, very old camera, but it works well with electric cable synchronization.
Now, how did you sync them? How did you sync them? Did you sync them off one cable or two cables? How did you sync them up?
I use two cable from cameras, so I join the cables to the switch, shutter switch, using the diode, so isolation between two cameras. It works well.
And just out of curiosity, do you recall what you were shooting with the speed of the film?
I used Provia, Fujifilm Provia 50.
Oh, 50, you say? 50?
Yeah, 50. Yeah, Velvia, Fujifilm Velvia
Yep.
film. Yeah, speed 50.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting. Do you now the I guess both lenses on the camera, you've had them all, you're basically able to focus the same. They were just on infinity?
Mostly almost infinity, but a little bit closer, but it's okay. I use f8, so it's very sharp.
Yeah, those are beautiful images.
Thank you.
Now, where was this taken?
It's taken at Nagano Prefecture in Japan.
Were you using the same cameras as you used at the other location?
Maybe same camera, but the lens is different. Was different, so little tele lens, so to shoot it bigger.
Okay, so did you do both? Did you actually move in closer and use a zoom, or a telephoto lens?
Yeah, a little bit more telephoto lens, about 35 millimeters lens.
Okay. And you had them about 30 feet apart?
Mm.
Oh, I'm talking 10 meters. I'll say 10 meters.
Yeah.
And was that the Nikon? Again, was that the same Nikon? I just want to confirm.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
About 10 years ago, I took this.
Now, were you in a crowd when you did this, or?
No, it's a smoke.
Okay, but I'm trying to figure out where you were actually I know you had some that you were on a roof and some that you were actually closer to the crowd.
It's I took this along the riverside.
Got it.
Mm.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, really. Was this the same show?
Yeah. Yes. Same show, but different fireworks.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, very big fireworks. So it's about 300-meter diameter. So very big.
And now that again was what you said 30. Did you mean 350 when you said telephoto? Because 35 is not.
Yeah, I use a 35 millimeter lens. It's kind of telephoto for fireworks. I usually use 21 milli or 24 millimeter lens for fireworks shooting, but this one was I took a 35 millimeter lens.
Now, how long does it take you to set all this up?
About 50 meter.
15 or 50?
Sorry, 50 meter. Two fireworks.
Now, I mean, how long does it take to actually set all the equipment up to get it to set up a shot like this?
You mean
In time.
separation?
Oh no, I mean in time. How long did it take you to set the equipment up to get this image?
You must have spent an hour at least getting this ready, right? To get all this. You had a friend.
Many times I need to get all set up from noon.
Wow.
Mm.
That's interesting. Okay, so you're setting up from the thank you. So you're setting up from the middle of the day now. It's noon, right? So how do you know? Have you been to this before? How do you know where this is all where you're gonna get the best shot, or you're just being waiting for good luck to get the right shot?
Yes.
I guess I answered my own question on that one. So you're setting up all that time. I'm impressed that you even now. Did you crop this, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Did you crop this image?
Crop?
No,
no, just no crop. Just a film. I scanned the film, but no crops. Little bit. I aligned to correct stereoscopic stereo windows, but no crop.
And you were saying just to confirm that you're thinking this was about 10 meters between the cameras?
Yeah, yes. About 10 meters.
Oh,
in a very crowded, there are a lot of people there, so difficult to keep cameras.
And you had someone helping you, right? You had a friend who also was operating one of the cameras, so you were working with help for this. You had a second photographer helping you.
Yes, I need a second photographer to keep the tripod correctly. Yes.
Now, so that, for all you Americans out there, that was 30 feet apart. It's 10 meters. So I was going to say 30 feet.
Yeah, same show. Yeah.
And this is film also, because I know you had a digital. I'm not sure where we are.
Yeah, this is taken with film camera also. I love filming.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, to get a shot like this, how many pictures did you take that day? And this is a 35 millimeter camera, right?
Yes.
So, how many do you take to get this?
3 or 4 rows at the show. So maybe I use 36 film. So about I took over 100 cuts.
Excellent. Well, take heart, all of you. People that want to take good shots like that, you got to go. These days it's a lot easier, but. And now this is a digital camera?
Yes. This is digital. Yeah. Very sharp.
And what I see that, and in my notes here, that was called the finale, right? So it was Kiss of Fire. Very interesting.
Yeah. Yes. It's named Kiss of Fire.
Now what is that? Was that a pier down in the pictures? What is down there?
Mm-hmm.
That's a pier.
No, it's took from roof of the hotel. I hired a hotel top to take this shot.
You pay somebody off to get to the roof. I like how you think. Well, yeah, I get it. I love it. That's great. And what type of digital cameras were you using for this shot?
This shot was taken about 8 years ago. So I use a Canon 5D. 5D1.
Oh, that's a nice camera. And how did you sync those? Are they?
Cable, using just cable. It works very well.
That's an older camera, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
So what is that, like 10? How many megapixel is that camera? Do you recall?
I'm not sure, but about 4,000 by 3,000 pixels.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's quite beautiful.
Thank
And,
you.
oh yeah. Now, I guess that camera, because I don't have an adjustable digital at this point. I got about a million other cameras, so that has a bulb setting, or did you set it? What, you remember your speed setting?
A speed about 100
Okay.
ISO.
You must have had, did you do just a 4-second exposure, or does it let you just hold the shutter open? Because you
Open,
probably keep
yes,
the camera
bubble.
open
I
long
use a
enough to get
bubble. I use a bubble.
Oh, good.
Bulb. So
Good bulb.
yeah,
Good. The
shutter
camera.
open about 4 seconds or 5 seconds to take this.
And now, any special tools? Do you line up those cameras with anything? In other words, do you use a bubble level, anything to make sure the two cameras are?
Yeah. So it is easier to take fireworks correctly than a film camera, because I changed alignment or direction. So the camera. So after each shot.
Okay, after each shot. So how? Okay, got that. Now, so how do you preview the two shots? I mean,
I use a small laptop computer on the site. So check the images as soon as
Yep.
Taking pictures.
So they're wired together. And what'd you say? How far away were these two cameras? Did you recall?
About 15 meters.
Okay, 15 minutes, 45 feet for you Americans.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Oh, interesting. So you must be running back. Well, I guess you run to the computer, take the shot. Do you have a system? In other words, you shoot a bunch of them, then go back to the computer, or you just one after the other? Do you take a look? You know, I'm curious about your process.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I brought a lot of
yeah,
things.
got it. Yeah, well, that's about it. So
it's a secret.
Okay, I finally had it after all these questions I've asked people along the way. I finally got a guy with a trade secret. Well, that's great. I want you to keep that secret because I appreciate it. It's good.
Thank you.
Everybody needs to go out and learn on their own, and that's not a problem. And these are inspiring images. So yes, indeed, I'm sure people will try their hand at them, but I don't know if they'll be as good as you. But you really did a beautiful job, and I got to tell you, I'm just appreciating you're up at 4 a.m.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for sharing my images here. So thank you.
Yes, I am. I'm trying to get to bed by that time myself. I got bad habits at this point. But again, thank you very much. If you guys weren't so far away, we'd be meeting more regularly with the Tokyo Club. Those guys in California got it better. They're a couple of hours earlier for you. But we have a tradition here. Are you ready for me? There's a whole crowd in this room giving you a round of applause. And I want to thank you, first of all, for your beautiful images.
Thank you.
Your talent, and also for staying up till 4. I hope you, if you want to stick around, you're welcome to. You'll be getting to bed by 6, I'm thinking. But all the best. And again, thank you very much for
and I have to say, our chat board is the equivalent of a big fireworks show where everyone's going, ooh, that's what we're getting on the chat board. Everyone is basically just saying how amazing they are. So thank you again for sharing all these, for letting us show them.
Yeah,
make our 4th of July have beautiful fireworks this year.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, because we're only going to have one on the Empire State Building. Did I give it away? That's okay. Well, thank you once again. Okay, we're going to move on now to our old friend, David Kuntz. And I'm just going to give you a quick biography. If you've been around, you'll already know it. To know him is to love him is the first thing. But he started out in 3D photography in '78. Has been an active member of the LA 3D Club since 1980. He's won numerous awards in international competitions. Currently the treasurer of the National Stereoscopic Association, a past president of the LA 3D Club, formerly editor of the ISU journal, Stereoscopic, and former general secretary, I want to salute every time I say that, of the Stereoscopic Society of America. Those are tremendous credentials, and you'll see why. He's a guy who's in demand. I only wish he lived close. Maybe it's better he doesn't live any closer to us, because I have a feeling that he and I would create terrible mischief. So, do we have you, David?
Yeah, how's my audio? Because I've moved since we did the pre-show.
Sounds good.
Sounds
right,
great. Sounds great,
Super.
man.
Well, I will start by saying I don't know what act followed the Beatles when they were on the Ed Sullivan Show, but I know exactly how they felt right now following Takashi. Anyway, this first image we're looking at is a composite of 5 separate exposures, and each exposure was taken the same way. I set my dual camera rig up on a tripod outside at night, and then I had the camera set on bulb, and then using a cable release, I held the shutter open while my son waved sparklers around in front of me, and I just took a bunch of exposures and had to make all sorts of patterns. And then after that, I took the ones I liked the most and I composited them together. I added all the color and everything in Photoshop. They're just the regular yellowish sparkler traces normally.
That was going to be my question. So just to make it clear for everybody watching, each of these circles, they were done separately, and you were saying fancy composited, but basically they're all laid over layers on top of each other. So they were created by you, literally in an analog form, because it was the moving of the sparklers, and then in Photoshop.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what Photoshop does is give me the digital analog of a multiple exposure, except I have complete control over where I place the things left, down, up, right, as well as in depth compared to one another, which is really the key for 3D, because otherwise you do something like this in camera and you realize, oh, I had them a little too far back on that last exposure, or oh, I didn't have them far enough back, whatever. This allows you to completely dial in the amount of depth. And I do several different versions of these. This one's for big screen projection, but I have ones for like the stereo card version of this that has way more parallax. And if I put this up on Instagram, I'll amp it up even more for that. I'll push the stuff in the back way farther back and bring the stuff in the front way farther forward.
Now that black is black, right?
Right. It's absolute that, and that's one of my little secrets. The black is 100% black, and the way I'm able to combine these so easily, because you think, oh, gee, how do you mask them? They're so feathery. I don't. They're shot in against, at night against an essentially dark background. And the first thing I do when I bring them into Photoshop is threshold them so that the backgrounds go completely black. And then I use the screen layer blending mode, which is essentially the moral and digital equivalent of multiple exposures. In other words, things that are black stay black, and things that are light get added. So that's why you get this thing where, like I say, it looks like a multiple exposure. And also, it's hard to tell on this because the traces are so thin, but you can see through each trace to the one behind it. And if for some reason you flip this one left, right, so that you reverse the stereo, it works perfectly fine. There's no interposition cues that cause something to look like it's in front of everything. Everything's partially transparent.
Now the other fun thing about this picture is if everybody's looking with their fancy anaglyph glasses, turn them around. Put the right, put the red over the right eye, and it's a whole new feeling. It's a whole new piece. That's great. You can't do that with everything. That's excellent.
Thanks. The first thing I was going to say about this is, it makes you realize that the American flag is quite possibly the worst conceivable subject for anaglyph display. But then Jim did such an incredibly good job on converting this to anaglyph and handling the colors that completely threw that comment out the window, and it actually works quite well as an anaglyph. I'm still scratching my head as to why. That might be a subject of a very good workshop, in fact, of how you turn something like this that has the exact wrong colors.
That is going to be at my workshop at NSA, by the way. I'll just interject.
Okay, great, because I'm curious as all hell as to how
I might ask you if I can use this as an example for it.
Oh, sure. I give you permission right now. This is another composite, 3 separate exposures, although the sparks actually, I used it twice. I used it's a fountain, one of those, small fountain fireworks that was sitting on the ground, and I shot it, and it was all blowing one way, so I doubled it. I used it twice and flipped it so that I got a more symmetrical spark fountain. But the Statue of Liberty is a is a Cha-Cha hyper stereo taken from the lowest level on Liberty Island looking up. I've cropped way in on it. The flag actually happens to be the flag on Liberty Island. I shot it there. That shot synchronized, of course, because it's blowing. And then also the fireworks were shot at a completely different time. Like I say, that was just a fountain that was sitting on the ground that I shot handheld. But the digital cameras are so sensitive, you can shoot something like that. And
So
again, same thing.
So you brought two cameras, and so the flag, you had a 2-camera rig.
Yeah, well, I shot the other one with a 2-camera rig, but I only used one. I only used one side. In other words, what I did was I'm sitting there, you know, at the lowest level on Liberty Island, looking up at the statue. I take a shot. I move over a step. I take another shot. I move over a step. I take another shot. And then when I get back home, I take the lefts from those and I match up the pair that has the right depth. Because people are always talking about, oh, what baseline did you use and how did you calculate it? And my answer to all those things is I don't know. I just shoot a bunch of pictures from way less than I think the baseline should be to way more than I think the baseline should be. And then when I look at it on my computer, I find the pair that works. And same thing again, I might do a couple different versions of this, one that has more depth that uses a more extreme pair for a format that needs more parallax.
Well, that's completely legitimate process. I mean, that's
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people, like I say, there's always these, you know, things about how to calculate the depth, and it's like, first of all, I can't estimate the distance. I don't know how far you are from that statue's head when you're on the bottom level of Liberty Island, and if I did, I probably still couldn't calculate it.
Well, the proof is in the pudding. The fact is,
Yeah.
right. It looks great. Yeah,
Thanks.
The whole thing. You have a real hand at Photoshop. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh.
All right, now the only reason this is in here is I took this on July 4th. Stan Lee in 2014 came and spoke at a local 4th of July gathering given by a city near where I live in. And it wasn't particularly crowded, so I had a ton of access to him to take as many shots as I want. And so I walked right up and took a bunch of pictures. And while I was doing that, he specifically asked me, is that stereo you're shooting? He didn't say 3D, he said stereo. And then you'll notice that the background behind him looks like, oh, it's probably some Captain America themed thing, but it's not. It was the 4th of July, so the background is, you know, the stars and stripes, but it happens to go with him, of course. And the good thing is it was close behind him, so I didn't end up with a situation where I had a background that's way too far behind. And then the Spider-Man thing is just a scan of a comic book, and it's the same thing in the left and the right, because of course it's flat. And then I did the fancy cutout and all that. Go ahead.
And now you shot him again with the actual stereo rig with the.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I shot it with a stereo. That's why I say when he saw the camera rig.
Yeah, the dual camera. Do you recall what cameras they were?
I think I shot this in 2014, which was before I got my Sony rig. I think it was a Panasonic rig. I can't remember what model they are, but they're point and shoots. It was made by Co Van Eckern, and it was a wonderful rig and actually takes very good pictures. But since then, I've switched to the APS-C format sensors because they just give you that much more dynamic range.
You know, it's amazing how many people who you last expect to know about 3D cameras. One day I'll share the picture. It's a long story how it happened, but Bill Clinton, I had my realist with me, and I just ended up in the right place at the right time. And I yelled at him. I said, Bill, 3D. And I'm telling you, man, the guy just lifted his hand up to make the 3D shot. He as soon as I said, Bill, 3D, he put his hand up. Then he came over and grabbed the camera. So, you know, it was pretty incredible, but it was hysterical. He knew 3D, hand went right up for the shot. Man, that guy. Anyway, on to the next shot. It was gorgeous. My God.
Yet another one of my composites. This is 2 shots. One of them is a neon flag sculpture that is at the Museum of Neon Art here in Los Angeles. And then the other was shot at the same time I shot those other fountain fireworks I used in the Statue of Liberty shot. So it's the same thing. It's a little fountain thing that was on the ground, but obviously this one I shot where the sparks weren't quite so voluminous because I used it here because I wanted something I could mostly see through. And again, the same thing. This, you know, compositing it in this way allows me to control the depth very precisely. So I got something that had, you know, a nice amount of depth, but not too much. And then I'm sure Ron Labby is probably commenting right now that some of those traces come through the window a little bit on the left, and he's right.
Yeah. Well, it's good that we can't hear him. So
Yeah,
that
right.
beautiful, beautiful work.
Thank you.
Again, you really never fail to impress, man. It's incredible work.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone, we're all socially distanced, and really, and we appreciate you sending us all the right directions. You will find that the people who appear here are extremely talented, and as you can tell, they're more than happy to explain how their process is. All I would say is, if you're going to ask them questions, and I know it's a great forum to ask questions, but I would say, if you really don't know at all about the stuff that he's saying, you can look a lot up on the internet before you go after these people and ask them questions. Not a bad idea to do a little research on your own, do your own homework, so that you can really formulate an accurate question that they'll be more than happy to answer. But it is stressful to have to go and explain things from very simplistic points. So do a little of your own homework, and you're always welcome to ask these folks questions. Now we're going to get into Jim Harp, NYSA board member, and obviously who has a real talent at anaglyphs, and also talent at being a really nice person. Through his profession as a theater musician and consultant, they have brought him to places far and wide, and sometimes near and wide. And this is a near one. Today, his images from closer to home. He creates all the mosaics, he's another guy that's a fantastic person who's willing to share anything you want to know. You can get off him, except borrowing money. But that's another story.
None of that. I don't have, if I had any. Thanks very much, John. And I just have a couple here. And really, my purpose today, of course, it's very hard to follow the amazing technical achievements Takashi has done. But I'm just sort of here to point out that even if you don't have time to run your cameras 15 meters apart, synchronize them and figure out solutions to these, there are some wonderful images you can get with fireworks just with a regular stereo base. I was very fortunate. All my pictures were taken within about a 3-block radius of my home in Denville, New Jersey. This was walking out the town fireworks show on the 4th. I decided just to try to take it from a distance. I wish more fireworks shows would happen at twilight. It's not very common to be able to do that, but for some reason they shot a few off early that year. So yeah, twilight is such a nice time to shoot fireworks when you get the chance to do it.
Now, what camera were you using on this?
This was in 2012. I was using a real ancient twin rig Sony V3s, 7 megapixel cameras, but I used those puppies for years and got lots of great pictures with them. And I had them with the Lanx Shepherd. Just the thing just never failed. It was a great rig. I got zillions of pictures out of it.
Now, a Lanx Shepherd is a gadget that comes between the two cameras.
It was a little device that was designed specifically to synchronize. I think it worked only with Sony cameras. It was a little mini plug that the Sonys used, and it was a great synchronizer. It wasn't 100% as really nothing is, but and this was taken with my Canon S95 rig a couple years later, and this was a carnival. Once again, just a few blocks from home. And it was sort of fun trying to get the crowd watching the fireworks and the smoke. And then in the distance, it's kind of hard to make it out, but you can see a Ferris wheel. This is the fireworks for the carnival down the street. I have another shot from that same carnival.
Was that with the same rig?
This was actually twin S95s, a stereo data maker rig, Canon S95s. Another great little rig that I used for years. And I think those were, 15 megapixels? Someone will correct me, much higher res than the Sony V3s. They were a nice step up.
Now, how reliable was the Lank and that other system you just described, and as opposed to this one? Was there any reliability when you took the shot? Did you always get the shot?
The Lank Shepherd was a custom-made unit, and was really very robust. With this S95 rig, I just had the wired USB switch. And it's actually why I stopped using the rig, is the switch failed, and I could have gotten another switch, but then I figured I'd move on to the Samsungs. And then here is, this is that same carnival. This was shot with the Insta360 Evo, the 180-degree camera. And I'm just going to admit that being very much inspired by David Kuntz and his tricks with compositing and taking different shots, I didn't really get good fireworks at this particular carnival shot, but I had a really nice exposure from that other set of shots I did at Twilight. So I used Photoshop's light mode, and it's very easy when you layer. I had a couple of nice tricks at my disposal. Stereo Photomaker now lets you take a fisheye image like this, and there's a function that lets you turn it to rectilinear. So I converted this image to rectilinear in Stereo Photomaker. I then pasted these fireworks on and used Photoshop's lighten mode to very nicely mask them on. And then I converted it back to a circle, back to a fisheye. So I cheated here and I admitted it. But anyway, I'm in good company. It's just another example of using a regular stereo base. You can still get some nice things, nice firework shots. Although,
and how far do you think you had those apart, the cameras?
Separation. I'm sorry, John.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for cutting you off there. How far were the cameras separated?
Oh, this was probably I would guess about 6 inches. I mean,
okay.
In other words, it's just my little, twin V3 rig. I probably did get a bit beyond just the regular minimum separation, but not much. You can see, it's pretty much a regular stereo base. And the point being, once again, just I encourage people, even if you don't have time to set up a massive, complicated twin rig, you can still get some great things with fireworks. And that's it for me. Thanks very much, folks.
Oh, of course. And they're throwing firecrackers, Jim. I don't know. Thank you once again. That was great. I appreciate that. It's very interesting to know about those length things. Is that stuff still around, by the way? Can you still buy those things?
I'll sell you one if you want. Yeah, I believe they might have made them for other cameras, but they were very popular for what would this have been, the early 2000s. That was the rig. It was one of the first really viable stereo digital camera rigs with the Lank Shepherds, and they still work. As I say, I'll sell you one.
Well, thanks again, Jim. Thank you very much for all you do. Really appreciate it. Our next guest is Ted Papoulas. I think I got that name right. If I butchered it, he'll just have to slap me when he sees me eventually. He was born in New York City, graduated from Brooklyn Pratt Institute. I had a bunch of good friends that went to Pratt. As an illustration major in 88, lives in Park Slope, Brooklyn for most of the next 25 years until the family brought him out to where you're going to see, Montclair, New Jersey. You might want to move there after you see this hometown feel. Ted also briefly ran the Stereo Stamp Company. This is really cool. I'm sure he'll have one. Maybe later on during the after party, he'll show you. It's extraordinarily cool. Selling stereoscopic rubber stamps. What could that be? Wait around, you'll see. Along with 2D stamps and 3D subject matter. Some may also be familiar with the line art conversion that he created for Real 3D, which depicts cartoon versions of David and Susan Pinsky, great folks, leaning out of a realist mount. These days he shoots with the Fuji W3, as many of us do, because it's mostly around all the time. And he took these other images that you're about to see with the W3. For ABC, he, give me 1 second. All right, eliminate something. For ABC, Ted had the opportunity to create anaglyph photos and conversions as well for a fully anaglyphic. Sorry about that, folks. Let me say that one more time. For ABC TV, Ted had the opportunity to create an anaglyphic photo conversions for a fully anaglyphic 3D website. I wonder if there's anything left of that, but we'll discuss that with him a little bit later on. I'd love to see what that looks like. I'm sure he's got some copies of it, so that's going to be fun. And without further ado,
hello.
There we are. We got you, Ted.
Yep, I'm here.
I hope that was accurate. One thing. Did I pronounce your last name? Papoulas?
Just Papoulas.
Papoulas. Yeah, you agree. You could, my last name is under certain circumstances Zelenka, so you can call me Zelensky as revenge. That's
okay. Good to know.
Well,
yeah. Hello, everybody. I've been a member of the NSA and ISU for decades, lurking in the background a lot. But I've decided to throw my hat in the ring. Might have picked the wrong week with all that wonderful work in front. But yeah, so these were, as John was saying, these were all shot with the W3. I own, many, started with a realist like many and have a number of other cameras, but that always seems to be the one, especially, this was not a specific photo safari. This was just visiting some friends who invited me over for a little barbecue at their house because the parade goes right by in front. and my daughter Tess decided to join me here.
But that's a
And-
great, it looks fantastic the way that you can never not enjoy a 3D bubble.
Yeah, bubble. When I first got a realist, there was a bubble man on a corner in New York City, and I took almost a whole roll of just him because they were so much fun. But this was, a gentleman in the parade making 6-foot plus bubbles as he went, and just a natural subject for 3D. And this was a good moment that I caught.
Oh, it's beautiful. That's great. There's actually a philosophy associated with bubbles. The big ones burst, the little ones just kind of fade away. Beautiful.
So yeah, and as John said, these are all shot in Montclair, New Jersey, where I've been about 5 years here now. My wife grew up in the town, and this is the parade they do every year, except of course this year. But these were some dancers who were very festive and added to the mood greatly. Do you make any adjustments to the W3? Sometimes I do a little bit of cropping to, like I said, especially these were done kind of casually when I was socializing. So I just, will use a Stereo Photo Maker or Photoshop and do a little cropping, and sometimes I'll tweak the exposure a little bit. Nothing major. I didn't do no compositing or anything.
Do you mess with the light meter at all, or do you just leave it the way it's set?
Yeah, in Photoshop. Oh, with the light meter, I normally I have it set a little dark to make sure, because not get a lot of. Although even with that, some of these have some blown out areas. But normally I just shoot it a little dark and then lighten it up in Photoshop later if I'd like.
So you actually like doing a minus exposure. You actually.
Yeah,
okay.
like -2.
Wow.
Just because I found it might have been a quirk with my W3. I just found that it was getting a lot of blown out areas when I was shooting with automatic. So
I often mention to people that it's not a bad idea to just go into the photometry. It's hard to find. You have to you can't do it in automatic mode. That's one of the weird things about it. You have to get out of that and either go in manual or the program mode. You can then change the light meter. Sometimes that helps too, but you have a good solution also. That's nice.
Yes, so this is coming down the street, the local fire department, and I thought it was just a nice, kind of captured the whole feeling of the parade. You got a couple of the rows of people and the feeling of a parade with a line going through, and of course the greenery of the town. So it just was a nice kind of slice of life for the mood of the parade.
And how long have you lived here in Montclair?
About 5 years.
And when do you think these were taken?
These were taken in 2017. Sometimes I'm out of town for the 4th, but this was one where I was in town, and here are some of the Union soldiers. They look pretty good for how old they are, but they're still marching.
That's excellent.
But yeah, they obviously some of the and then here, well, this is, if you're looking at me on the screen, my daughter is in person with me right now, but this is her a few years ago on the Flying Horse Carousel, and of course, to me, the star of this photo is my daughter, but. What's interesting is this is the Flying Horse Carousel in Watch Hill, Rhode Island, and it's actually one of only 2 carousels that's a National Historical Landmark. It's the oldest still in operation carousel, founded in 1876, and it's one of only 2, I think, in the country that have the horses are suspended from chains as opposed to being attached by a pole into the ground. So that's why it's called the Flying Horse Carousel. And it's still an incredibly popular summer attraction. And this was taken on July 4th in 2018 with my daughter. And you can see the beaming grin is because this was her first ride ever. She had seen her older sister go, but she wasn't old enough. And then this was her first time on the big horse, and you can see that.
Excellent. Excellent.
And wouldn't be 4th of July without a tall Uncle Sam. So wearing the cool shades here in this shot, cruising down the street in the Montclair Parade.
How far is this from your home?
Oh, it's about 5 minutes. So just it goes through the center town on anybody familiar with Montclair is Watchung Avenue. That's through the center of kind of Upper Montclair. And this right in front of my friend's house, and just took those. So little casual shots, but I thought they were kind of fun for 4th of July.
I love them. And not only that, we all love them because it's great to see pictures of fireworks. There's no doubt about that. but it's just nice to see people out having fun too on the 4th of July. So don't minimize them. I know not one person watching minimized them. It was a wonderful thing you gave us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. You're very kind. And I've found that shots like this get better over time as they become like, at the time they seem just like, oh, this is what I see walking out the door. But then 10, 20 years, you look back and it gives you the slice of life of the moment. So I always find that I really enjoy some of the shots that I think if they're nicely composed, have nice 3D, they only kind of gain value over time. So
perfectly said. I can't add a word to that. I've said similar things along the way, that shoot the common and ordinary, and you'll be surprised that in the end that those are so wonderful. And it's also wonderful to see people,
right.
That's the other side of it.
I'm upset now, like apartments that I had or things that I just took for granted that I have very little photo documentation of, or people that you used to see every day, neighbors or friends who moved away, and then suddenly it just seemed like, oh, you can take a picture anytime, and then you don't, and then so
yeah,
I'm trying to remember to do that more.
Yeah, you just have to resort to the old neurons in your head and remember it. But again, thank you very much for spending the time with us, and happy 4th of July, of course.
Thank you. Happy 4th, everyone.
Thank you. Now, Bob Venezia, did Bob manage at all, Jim, you think, to get on, or no good?
No, I'm going to see if I can get David Kuntz, because, Bob, unfortunately, is having computer problems, so he's not able to join us. Let's see if we can unmute David, because David has actually ended up providing Bob's images for this and knows a lot about how they were done.
Hey, Jim, is that something personal? You don't want me to explain these pictures? Is that the problem?
Oh, no, it's just that...
After all this time, it's coming out, the mean side of Jim.
No, we weren't able to give you much information about them because Bob's having some computer issues. But as you'll see, he sure doesn't have photographic issues. And I don't know if I might have mentioned earlier, Bob got into shooting fireworks because he went to a stereo dinner and saw some of Takashi's slides. So we're getting a chance here to see, someone gets inspired by someone else's great work, what happens.
Okay.
But, I do have to give special thanks to David because Bob was having some computer issues, but David had some of Bob's images from a Stereoscopy article. Is that correct, David?
That's right.
Yeah, so he helped us out. I knew Bob had these amazing images, but it was a bit of an effort to get them, but here they are.
Great, and let me introduce Bob then. Bob Venezia is the award-winning stereoscopic photographer based in Seattle who seeks to capture images that display dramatic light. His work is in corporate and private collections and has been exhibited in Seattle, Portland, Loveland, and Costa Mesa. And he also has apparently computer problems. So we're going to switch over right now, and we're going to go to the first image. Wow. You could chime in, Dave, if you could.
All righty. Bob supplied me these for an article that he wrote several years ago for Stereoscopy. The good news is he gave me all sorts of information about how he shoots. The bad news is he didn't tell me which photo was taken what way. So I'll just kind of give you some general background on what he's done while we look at his various images. They're all shot on film with medium format Hasselblads. They were taken quite some time ago, I think. And the baselines range from the smallest was around 12 feet, and the largest was 40 feet.
And do you know what cameras he was using? I mean, I know it's a tough
I don't
question.
know if he says specifically which Hasselblad it was.
Well,
and he did try a few different lenses, too.
Yeah, I could see Hasselblad, I believe he said.
Man.
Yeah.
At least because I've seen his things in medium format folios, and I know he mentioned on those that's what he was using.
Right.
Oh man, nothing like
they're amazing.
Yeah,
and he's used a variety of different lenses. The thing is, his original triggering mechanism to sync the cameras was one of those air bulb shutter releases that he split in two. And he said the reason he used the 4-meter spacing was because that's how long the tube was.
Man.
And then he moved up to a more sophisticated rig that was made with the actuators from car door lock.
Got it. To trigger it. I got it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's
so and then that allowed him, to have much longer wire, and he was able to do pretty much whatever spacing he wants. The thing that he indicated that he had the most trouble with, but actually I really can't understand exactly how he solved it, was pointing the cameras, because he lined these things up when the sky was blank. There was nothing out there because he's lining them up before the fireworks go off. So
that was the same question. That's the same question I had for Takashi.
Yeah. And what Bob said was he lined them up on some, he pointed them down like at the horizon where he had something to point at. But then I don't understand how he reoriented them. They weren't on a bar, so I don't have the answer. But that was one of his biggest challenges, was lining them up, because, like I say, they were lined up before the fireworks were going off. And how you get stuff centered up so well is a mystery.
That's a skill in and of itself, figuring that out. But thank you for taking the part and filling in for him. I appreciate that very much. We're going to take this to him. Yeah, let him know the crowd was overwhelmed. And I thank you once again. Thank you for chiming in, David. That was very, very helpful. Thank you. Now we're going to keep moving. And I have a shot in. I don't have much. I just put one in. I'll give you a story about this one. This was shot about 2 years ago, I think 2017 or 18, at a place called Citi Field. The Mets play there. This is the laser display we're doing. And if you ever flew into LaGuardia Airport, that's the old Chase Stadium. You'll see it's like the baseball stadium. This was it. We're all the way in the outfield from this shot, doing the whole pyro and laser celebration. And the interesting thing about this event was I also videoed it. Up in the right-hand corner, you don't see it here, but there was a misfire of the pyro. I've been working with pyro guys a while, and I've learned this. When I asked them the question of what's the best place, they said as far away as you can get. So I kind of learned my lesson from that. I took that as the lead message. Those people up in the upper deck, I know what they were thinking. They were thinking, man, we got a great spot to look at this fireworks. Until, of course, the misfire happened and landed right in the crowd. I mean, literally, you saw the people moving. And generally after these things, it's kind of a recap, just kind of, everybody sits around and goes, as the crowd molds out and the show's over, everyone, talks about the show and says goodbye. But this time it was strange because the fire department and everybody was all huddled in the corner. I had not actually initially seen it because I was just too busy with what I had to do. But when I played back the video, I had the Zapruder tape. You could see the explosion. It was like really easy to see. It went up. So my thinking is, those upper deck seats, if you're watching fireworks, you might want to get a little bit lower. They do their best, but now I know a lot more about pyro. Well, that was it. Wait a second. For Johnny Lasers. Uh-oh. Hey!